make a move and the bunny gets it.
I said, put the bunny back in the box. Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
It's showtime.
Psychically, I'm very well endowed.
I wanna know what you're thinking. There are some things you can't hide. I wanna know what you're feeling. Tell me what's on your mind.
Hey there, this is Scoop from Telepathic Bunny Comics. Welcome to the rabbit hole. It's early Christmas. I got my ugly Christmas sweater on. I did have a Santa cap, but it's into Christmas decorations, and that would have taken a lot of dragging out to do for just a gag. So, you know, you'll have to forgive me. I'll get it next time. But anyway, so now we're going to talk about Santa Claus. Right now, there's a move in culture. Last couple of years, we've had some banger like action movies starring Mr. Santa Claus himself. And so we're going to talk about this move, you know, why Santa Claus is kind of like still in culture, what the significance of him. And the whole action star thing is kind of interesting. And the best person to talk about this too is the guy that currently has a comic. It's pinned in the description and also pinned in the chat. So click on it, check it out. It's Santa's Nuclear something. What's the name of it? What's the name of it? Remind me. Santa's Nuclear Winter Special.
Santa's Nuclear Winter Special, yeah.
Yeah, it just completely like flew out of my head. I've been saying this damn thing all day long, and it's like winter. Of course it's winter. All right. Even though we're in fall. You know, there we go. So welcome to the show, Mr. Ashley Wrights. What's up, dude?
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Hey, no problem. So why Santa?
So I mean, it kind of a few things. I actually came up with the idea in 2022. I want to say, and the launching point of it was actually I'd been watching The Big Lebowski, and for some reason I just on this particular day I just kept imagining like The Big Lebowski as Santa. Like the idea of like this, like
right.
He's like flying around, but he doesn't really care about it. He's just like, I'm just gonna do my thing, and then I'm just gonna go home. And it started out as like kind of a meme where I wasn't really thinking about doing that
It's
much.
amazing. It's amazing how seed thought will lead to something greater, like that, right? Go ahead.
I was going to say at one point I was going to do a kind of not quite public domain, but a story that was about like these kind of big cultural icons. So it's going to be Santa teaming up with like Uncle Sam and Lady Britannica and that kind of thing. And
right.
But I found that Santa was just such a versatile character by himself, and you could just imagine putting him anywhere, and he just works so much better solo.
Oh yeah, the lore on Santa is so flexible. He's such a bigger than life character that you're able to, put him in different applications. We're going to talk about that. I got some movie clips I want to show. Hopefully, don't get us struck, YouTube. Anyway, but we'll find out. It'll still be up on Rumble, either one way or another. But essentially, Santa Claus is such a basically baked into society, baked into like the zeitgeist. And, there's always like that coming of age, when you find out Santa isn't real, up to that point, parents kind of like conspire to kind of like keep that in their kids. Of course, there's always the, vile people who want to take that away from kids, it's a way taking wonder out of the world because you have no soul yourself, I
just want to share like a really funny family story.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
When I was so there's a big age gap between me and my younger brother, about 10 years different. And when I was in college, I came back for the weekend one day, and my mum was like, I got this phone call from the principal because my brother's like he's younger, but he's pretty sharp. And at this point, I think he was like 12 years old, 11, probably closer to 11. And the teacher calls up and says, there's a vicious rumor going around the playground that Santa isn't real and it's coming from your son.
There you go. The parents are like, oh, we need to nip this in the bud, I get away with a lot more when kids think Santa is real. Anyway, I didn't get you the toy you didn't want. That's Santa Claus. You have to check it out with Santa. I wonder how much hate Santa's gotten over the years because of that. Anyway, so I'm gonna play like some clips right quick. Now I'm hopefully not going to play enough to get struck. But these are like just recent outings that Santa has done as an action star. So we'll start out with one of my favorite ones from about 2020 called The Fat Man. Have you ever seen this one?
I have.
Yeah. One of Mel Gibson's recent output. Really clever premise. Plus you got Walton Goggins in it. Hello. They pretty much make everything awesome. All right, let's play. We'll try to get struck here. We'll play about 30 seconds of it. So here we go.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I've lost my influence. Maybe it's time I retired the coat.
You still have it.
Some kids with a deer rifle put 2 holes in the sleigh, one in me. All I have is a loathing for a world that's forgotten.
The United States military would like to procure your services.
This is a one-time deal, gentlemen. How are you, Mike? Nicole and the kids are well, I hope.
Where are you?
You just rushed a big son!
What's the job?
I'd like you to kill Santa Claus.
I had to get to Walton Goggins at least. Anyway, so yeah, so that's a grittier Santa Claus. That's a Santa that's just like over it, right? And it's a really cool premise, you know. He goes, gets in the bed with the government, you know, and hijinks, and this kid sends this hitman after him, a very determined hitman. Who also has a grudge against Santa, and you know, it gets pretty grisly at times, and it's fun. It's a real fun thing. Got a whole elf lore and everything's kind of like played straight up and down. There's not like a lot of like, you know, bright visual colors. It's kind of like a little toned down, almost real gritty realism, basically.
Yeah, it's
Santa
like
Claus.
a Die Hard movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's a real fun one, though. Ho, ho, hoes. Fat Man's a modern classic. A bit woke, but at its heart in the right place. Yeah. Yeah, the ending kind of bothered me, you know, a little bit, going to be honest. But I do like, you know, there's kind of like a really cool ending to it. I enjoy. But yeah, that's Fat Man from 2020. And just a little bit later, they kind of visited the premise, but this is with a twist. Okay, this was called Violent Night, and this was from like 2 years ago, I think. Starring the guy from you'll recognize from Stranger Things, David Harbour, right? Yeah. So let's play that one right quick.
You ain't driving, are you?
I steer a little, but the ranger do most of the work.
This is my 4th year as a Santa. How about you?
I started the whole damn thing.
Ho, ho, ho! It's Christmas!
We decided that you could have one gift.
Early.
What is it?
That is a direct hotline to Santa Claus himself.
I can talk to Santa.
All right, revelers. Welcome to your worst Christmas ever.
Let's go!
You have $300 million in your personal vault. That's what I want for Christmas.
I don't want any trouble, okay? Something's gonna scooch up that chimney.
Who is?
Okay. Now that one really gets violent. Okay. It has a lot of violence in it, but hence Violent Night. But David Harbour does a good job on that one. I can take or leave David Harbour. You know, he kind of has the same note that he plays, but if you give him the right instrument to play, he's really good when he you know, when you get him in that narrow range that he has. When you like get him solidly in that narrow range, he's really good. He didn't have the range of Mel Gibson, but he's got some range. Anyway, but that's a fun movie from a few years ago. And there's one that's coming out next month. I'm going to play just a little bit of that one. This one's probably going to get me struck, maybe. But I'm just going to play just a little bit of it. Here we go. This is Red One. That's coming out next month. So
$497, $498,
$499, $500.
Let's go, Abby. Yeah, got it. Looking strong, Nick.
Go on, brush your shoulders off.
Red One is on the move.
Evening, ladies. What are you so excited about? Of course, your boyfriend's here. Okay. Who's with Red? Reach!
Someone took Nick. We're gonna find him.
I'm bringing in Jack O'Malley. He's probably the best tracker in the world.
The guy's a legend.
What am I doing here?
Last night, Red One, also known as St. Nicholas of Myra, was abducted from the North Pole complex.
Are you saying Santa Claus has been kidnapped?
Garcia? What the hell? You can't trust this guy. He's on the list.
You don't mean...
Yes, that list. NL4. Are you telling me this clown is a level 4 naughty lister?
A level 4 naughty lister?
Oh, is that funny to you?
Hey! You're gonna...
Okay. All right. That's definitely a different take on it. But by the way, that is dude's actual muscles. I mean, he's not lifting that much, but that is what is his name? What am I saying? Huh?
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons. I can't remember. That's one of my favorite actors, and I just J.K. Simmons. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen him like workout stuff that he's done. He is, yeah. Bill Goldberg was Santa also, and the movie sucked though. Yeah, it did. It did really suck. I will not hear disappointment with the Goldberg Santa. The opening of that movie is glorious mayhem, right? But they've used the Santa lore. They've used him. That right now it's kind of like an action star, but they've used him kind of like everything from comedy to romantic lead to actual horror. They've actually used him for horror. We want to go to the Krampus movies, but it's like the opposite in Santa. But what do you think? Why do you think he's such a compelling figure and so flexible?
I think it's because everyone it's very easy to imagine your own version of Santa and you'd be right. He's not like as well defined as like a Superman where you could say like, would Santa do this? No, he wouldn't. It's like, maybe he would because he does have that kind of warrior background and and so because there's so many versions of him and they all just kind of work. You can really just kind of pick and choose which version you like, and you'd be right. So
why does he like inflame the imagination so well? Especially, you think it has anything to do with the fact that the whole kid myth that's like the kids have growing up, and so when you get older, it's like a warm. It's like a cookie and a glass of warm milk by a fireplace. It's like something comfortable. It's comfort food. And so, adding that in, there was like a movie a few years ago, Rise of the Guardians, I think. It was a DreamWorks animated, and it had a version of Santa Claus in that one. Santa rules, says the man who used to have a Santa beard. Unfortunately, he got the whole neck break thing and had to cut it. R.I.P. John's beard. Anyway, stick out man though. Anyway, all right. So sorry. I didn't mean to beard shame there. You got one too. So anyway, all right. So as soon as that brace comes off, his wife is insisting he grows it back. So we'll see a return of the beard someday.
Christmas.
There you go. There you go. Right. So hold on a second. Don't get me wrong. Goldberg was a wrestling god. Big fan of him. WCW, the Universal Soldier. And in person, he's one scary big MFer. But he's also a softie. I've heard of a lot of charities and stuff like that. He does visits hospitals and things like that. As big as scary as he is, he's definitely that's a kind-hearted guy. Kind of like Psycho Sid, his sweetheart in life, but man, he could play a baddie. Grow my beard back. The neck brace comes off Wednesday. Oh, good for you, dude. Good for you. Technically, this isn't J.K. Simmons' first time as Santa. He played Nick in the Netflix animated origin movie Klaus, which is a modern Christmas classic. Even I was surprised and loved it. Animation. Santa's a lot in animation. I'm going to work on Santa comic writing. Heroic Tales is one of those issues. Yeah, Patriarch meeting Santa. That'd be awesome. Anyway, but it's something about that. That force for good, the fact that there's a naughty, there's a nice. I think in recent years, I've seen some people like in Hollywood try to destroy that a little bit. There was this god awful show I'm not even going to name that had Sarah Silverman and what's his name, doofus pothead guy. I'm not worth remembering his name. But they put this like horrible animated movie out, and it was just nihilistic, just anti-Santa. And so you see that from time to time. Fred Claus movie was okay. I think it starred big tall galoot guy. I'm losing names here. Vince Vaughn. Yeah. And it was okay. Paul Giamatti played Santa in that one. I'm like, why didn't you just take Paul Giamatti and make him a Santa? And that'd be a great movie. I love Paul Giamatti. Just about anything.
I do too.
Right. But one thing about it though is the whole Santa as superhero. He does have powers. He does have superpowers. The whole how does he get around the world? I in the middle, in one night, that thing. You got the reindeer fly. I mean, a superpower. Depending on your lore, whether you have Rudolph or not, a deer that's nose glows, that's a superpower. The whole going up in the chimney, that's a superpower. Carrying all those toys, he's got to be pretty dang strong. So I mean, it just lends itself to that. So yours is obviously Santa Claus and Nuclear Winter. Why don't you just set up the premise for us?
Yeah, so it's it kind of starts out as a basic kind of post-apocalyptic horror thing.
So what ends the world in your book?
Sorry?
What ends the world in your book?
Nuclear war between the US and Russia. So the story is set in the 1990s, so this is like an alternate take of if the Soviet Union didn't fall and tensions just kept escalating, what would
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And so from there, there's not much of humanity left. And the way I have it worked out in my head is that the last remnants of like good humanity have set up a shelter down in Antarctica. Because obviously you've got nuclear warfare just like wrecking the planet, and so now this is Antarctica's kind of habitable. But also it's got like a nice big ocean between the rest of the world. It's not so easy to get to.
Right.
And so you've got zombies all across the world, and not just zombies, you've got like mutants and monsters and like rogue military remnants and that kind of thing. And so Santa kind of sets out to find the last kids who are left on his nice list and ferry them back to Antarctica to this sanctuary.
Right,
and this is his story of getting the kids out of Manhattan.
Cool.
Everything that he goes up against there.
Okay, so John's got a Santa epic fantasy he wants to write. Story needs workshopping, though. Why don't we just put it together a Santa Claus like compilation? Everybody seems to have a Santa project they want to do. Santa Claus conquered the Martians and saved the Earth. Okay, yeah, you would bring that at one. You would bring that movie up. Anyway, but it's like a Santa Claus movie. A lot of people don't have fond memories of that. It had Dudley Moore in it. It's from way back in the 80s, I think it was. But that movie had that Santa Claus had some powers too, But that's one thing I think that I think this culture like desires is like some kind of like clear eye to good versus evil, because Santa has that list, and he checks it twice, and he knows who's naughty or nice, that's a dichotomy. That's morality there, that's a moral code. How does Santa know who's naughty or who's nice? Obviously that means that there's good and there's evil. And it sounds like I'm going too deep on this, but it really isn't that far deep when you scratch the surface. What do you think about that?
I think that Santa's works really well as like the spirit of Christmas. So like one of the ideas that I have for this is I really like the idea that Santa grows more powerful the more people will have like Christmas cheer and that kind of thing.
Right.
And so the more people he's saving, not to. This isn't like the way that I set the story up. But the more people he's saving, he's kind of like recharging his powers. And
a little bit like Elf, like Elf in a way, right?
Yeah, and because he's just such a recognizable figure, it doesn't matter how low down you are or how scared you are. As soon as you see Santa, you're like, okay, I'm in good hands.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
And your Santa also has weaponry. So evidently he can. There's a scene from Fat Man where there's like a gunfight, a gun shootout. You know. Let's not forget that every year in DC Universe, Santa cracks through the impossible defenses of Apocalypse to deliver a lunk of cold to dark side. I didn't know about that. I did not know about that. Oh crap! I need to look that up. That's cool. That's cool. You know, depending on the universe, you know, it depends on just how powerful Santa is. You know, at certain times Santa's some universes Santa's a level of a deity. You know, at others Santa's kind of like just a hardworking guy with some powers that's like fulfilling a role. You know, it's like his job. You know, like Santa Claus, the Santa Claus with the Tim Allen series or whatever, and. But, you know, look it up. It's a 2-page comic. Yeah, you do that. Send it to me, man. I'd love to see that. But, you know, one of the things that reason why I know that you're going to be able to write this is I did indeed read The Argonauts. And let me give you a little bit of a review for those who don't know. The Argonauts is his comic. Yeah, what's the full title?
The Unbreakable Argonauts.
The Unbreakable Argonauts, right? And you know, I used to be a Justice Society guy. You know, the Justice League was fine, but I kind of dug the Justice Society because I liked the whole idea of that community. You know, the people, kind of a nurturing community, and I would say that Unbreakable Argonauts has a lot of the Justice Society in its DNA. In that that everybody's kind of loosely affiliated, but everybody kind of like has kind of like knows each other. Even the villains know each other, know the bad guy or good guys, and the good guys know the villains, and they're all kind of like been like fighting, doing this thing for a while. And so I like that lived in feel. You know, some worlds you just don't quite get that, where you don't feel like people have been there for a while, you know, that people aren't settled in. And your book definitely has that feel to it where, you know, you kind of feel like this has happened. You know, that this is kind of like you're walking in media res, you know, this is an ongoing, it's an ongoing world. You did that very well. You even had like a Civil War of the monkeys, the giant monkeys, which I'm like, there you go. Everybody likes a Grodd character. Anyway, but basically, let me go ahead and give you a rating on that one. I could see that you have a lot of distance to go on this one, but this is out of 6 carats. I give it a. Giving it a 4 carats. I think it's a very solid book. It's like you know, obviously I'm going to need to get more books to kind of get the scope of it, because the story doesn't move along far enough for me to give it a higher rating. But it's a very solid story. It's definitely a bunny recommend. Unbreakable Argonauts. I think you got it available on Kindle.
Yep.
Amazon Kindle. Okay. You also have hard copies available through FMC.
Yep.
Right. So check that out. But right now, Santa's Nuclear Winter is at IGG. Okay. Boo and hiss, everybody. Boo and hiss. You know, IGG. You know, we're not an IGG friendly show here, but you know, we'll promote we'll promote the books that are over there, but we won't promote the website. The website sucks. Okay. Anyway, but that book definitely deserves more backers than it has currently. And so everybody, if you love Santa Claus, get over there and check it out. Let me play the trailer again right quick. So that's available right now on IGG. Let me put this in the chat right quick. All right. I looked it up on Fun My Comic. I'm gonna get this in the chat right quick. So make sure I get that. All right.
I should just say about Santa's Nuclear Winter Special, I just want to shout out Rich Prodder, who's the artist on the book.
Oh, right. Right.
He's a great guy. He's worked on some pretty decent titles. He's worked as an inker on things like Iron Man, Booster Gold, a little bit of X-Men, and he's just...
Yeah, I've heard that name before. I've definitely heard that name before. The Our Unbreakable Argonauts campaign on FMC is in the chat now. I forgot to do that earlier. So, but yeah, so what is... I've noticed kind of like I'm a big writer on this show here. Let's see. Cool, available in FMC, and let's get on board. Yeah. But I've noticed writing philosophies. I've always see you kind of have a very throwback philosophy, and you don't seem to be all that old. So where'd you pick up this vintage kind of old style writing philosophy from?
I mean, I grew up on a lot of old movies.
Okay.
Like my granddad was a really big movie buff. He used to...
There you go.
He was like a movie critic for his, local town paper.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd show me like really old stuff like Quatermass movies.
Oh yeah.
The Day the Earth Stood Still and all that kind of thing. And I think I just really gravitated towards the older...
They could tell a yarn, man. They could tell a yarn. They didn't have the special effects to fall back on. This is pre-Star Wars. Pre-Star Wars, nobody relied on special effects to tell the story. They told the story, and in the special effects, you just kind of had to overlook the clunkiness of it all. But it's like old Doctor Who's are still the best Doctor Who's, But Quatermass, that's a very interesting IP. Somebody needs to resurrect that sometime. I think I saw the Hammer version of Quatermass. Pretty gruesome stuff. Lot of aliens involved, stuff like that. Think about the old movies though, and with the old movies, you like Twilight Zones. I mean, come on, Twilight Zones. But they were written by people who also wrote novels. They weren't like screenplay writers. They were novelists and people like that. And when you write novels, novels are a different kind of writing from anything else. And you can always tell when somebody started as a novelist and then moved to something else, because there's a greater depth there. There's a greater attention to detail. Basically, when I see a comic book put out by somebody that started out as a novelist, like Neil Gaiman, I'm not a big Neil Gaiman fan, but the guy can write a yarn. But it's like Richard Matheson, when he like wrote screenplays, and he also wrote episodes of Twilight Zone, but he's a novelist first, and like when you like move over from novelist to other mediums, it's like you think more about character development.
One of my favorite Golden Age creators is Gardner Fox, who I think is like should be up there with Stan Lee.
Oh wow!
And he's like when you look at how much he brought to DC Comics, like I mean, he created the first Flash, which was the first speedster in comics.
Right.
He was the guy who brought the multiverse to comics.
Right.
He created the Justice League and the Justice Society, like just absolutely crazy footprint on comics.
Oh yeah.
He was out there writing novels like crazy as well.
Old name, he really should be.
Yeah.
But well, I mean, the thing about it is though, is when you see people like that have that massive imprints that you don't really know about, that clearly, usually it's because they've been suppressed by somebody who had a lesser legacy but had more power. I mean, Stan Lee, let's face it, there's a lot of people that he kind of built his legacy off of that.
Same thing with Bill Finger and Bob Kane.
Bill Finger and Bob Kane, great example of that. Bob Kane, household name. Bill Finger did everything. I mean, everything. Bob Kane stole everything, but Bill Finger made everything. The whole entire Batman mythos comes from Bill Finger.
I think it was Bob Kane came up with the name, and Bill Finger just everything else.
Yeah, he was ripping off the Shadow and Tarzan comics and repurposing them. And,
the first Batman comic was like a direct plagiarism of the Shadow story. Exactly.
And Bill Finger came in and was like, this premise has promise, because he's an actual writer. He's like, he built that world out. He's the one that came up with the parents getting killed in front of the billionaire, and the whole entire philosophy of Batman is still to this day, which is Batman. Let's see, what is the one comic that influenced you the most?
If you're asking me, it would be Darwin Cook's New Frontier. I would say that was the comic that made me just absolutely fall in love with like the 50s era of comics and got me interested in things like the Challenges of the Unknown. Turned me into a really big Martian Manhunter fan as well, and just
there you go.
Just the style of the 50s alone, as Darwin Cook put it, was just I just found it absolutely beautiful and just couldn't not write it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Darwin Cook, he did that in like 2000s, I think. And
I think that came out in 2006.
Yeah, R.I.P. Man passed away like 5 years ago, I think. But he took that era and he basically encapsulated it into a modern comic, but it had that whole entire aesthetic. It had that whole entire philosophy, I saw did you ever see the cartoon animation adaptation of it? Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I did think it lost a little bit of the comic special.
They left out some stuff because the point of the comic was to kind of bridge the gap between the 50s characters and the 60s characters, and the movie was a lot more interested in doing the
no problem.
The movie was a lot more interested in doing like the characters everyone knows, and they kind of pushed the 50s guys off to the side, and I thought that was unfortunate.
I a lot of those Charlton comic characters, the Charlton comics basically is the birth of what DC became, which is interesting. Alan Moore trying to dump on Charlton comics is how he got Watchmen, And so him trying to make his own Mr. A / question as how he got Rorschach.
Well, I think the reason they wouldn't let him do it is because they had all of those guys coming in their own series,
right?
And if you've got Denny O'Neil doing a question series alongside Alan Moore just wrecking the question, it doesn't really work.
Right. And Alan Moore was going to wreck it. He was definitely going to destroy it. I think Dr. Manhattan is the Atom. I think, Captain Atom.
Yeah.
And then the Owl is going to be his version of Blue Beetle. And he was just going to wreck a whole entire thing. He hated Ditko so bad. Nobody knows to this day why he hates Ditko so bad. I think it's because of Ditko's moral relativity. Alan Moore just despised the guy. Who, by the way, created Spider-Man. Sorry, Stan. It was Ditko. Ditko created Spider-Man, the whole look and the whole entire thing, basically. But honestly, I think when you look all the way back in the DNA of all the heroes, all the superheroes and things like that, in my DNA, I've got I've got the Bible characters, but I also have Santa Claus is in there, And so behind every comic book, behind every superhero is probably got some roots in Santa Claus.
Yep.
And
I think, I think because Santa, if you kind of look at his story, it's very superhero-esque.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's got like an origin story, and
Right.
he's got like specifically defined powers, and he's got like his lair in the North Pole, and it's just very, you know, it just feels.
Yeah,
like,
he has a headquarters, right? He's got like a bat cave. He's got the North Pole. Right, gadgets, right? You look at it, it's like when you start like going down this rabbit hole, it's like how much of our ideas come from, come all the way from Santa Claus. Santa Claus lore has been going on for over 1,000 years probably. There's versions of Santa Claus like all the way back, and especially in ancient European lore. You had the good guy for the guy that rewarded little girls and boys, and you got the monster that punished little girls and boys. When the Krampus. So those two kind of like came up together, separated at some point, thank God. But yeah,
I tried figuring out a way to incorporate Krampus into the story. I wanted to do like what do you call it? Like an acronym, like some kind of secret military facility. I still can't come up with one.
Well, get with me. I'm pretty good at acronyms. I'll come up with one for you. That sounds like a great idea. But so here you are. You're a nuclear winter. The superpowered idiots have destroyed the world, and now there's a whole bunch of like zombies roaming around, the countryside, and paramilitary organizations like, trying to carve, and a lot of bad guys, and little pockets of good people. And Santa Claus, who has the list of naughty and nice, is trying to save all the little nice people on his list and take them to safety in the Antarctica, right?
Yeah.
So why didn't you choose the North Pole for that?
The comic starts out with the North Pole just getting overrun by zombies. So.
Oh, okay. Okay.
To kind of drive Santa out, just take away his comfort zone, so he hasn't really got any choice but to step up and be this hero.
Right. Yeah, that's a problem. They didn't kill the elves, did they?
The elves are the zombies.
The elves are the zombies.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
If you actually, I think it should be up on the Indiegogo page. If you scroll down, one of the pages is of him looking out of his cabin. There's a bunch of zombie elves coming at him.
Oh, man. That is cool. All right. Wookie Fever says, Ashley may have already mentioned it. What's your inspiration to create this Santa story? Yeah.
It's a little bit of a few things. It's partially the movies that you mentioned earlier, especially Fat Man.
Nice.
It's also kind of, I'm a really big Sin City fan, and I wanted to do something like Sin City.
Right.
And depending on how successful this comic is, my hope is to kind of create I don't want to say a shared universe, but like a history of Santa being cool throughout like different ages, like Western gunfighter Santa and like high seas pirate Santa and that kind of thing, and just put him in all kinds of different silly time periods and have fun with them.
Well, that's the thing. If you create your world in a way, like in my world, creatures of myth and legend happen to be real, and there's like a thing that's in my world that makes it possible and allows creatures to live like thousands of years or whatever, practically immortal. And so having that flexibility in your world where you can like take these legends and reinterpret them and plug them in, that's always a really good move. And people that don't world build, I'm like, you know what? You're leaving a lot of money on the table. If you build a world where that you basically have to think it through, you have to set your rules, you have to have your parameters, you have to have the reason why this is possible. Marvel does this vague thing about like science and somehow, if you fall into a, if you like there at the nuclear bomb, you become the Hulk or something like that, or radioactive spider bites you, you become the Spider-Man, stuff that, if a radioactive spider bites you, you're going to die, probably radiation poison. But anyway, but, became Spider-Man. But you do have to have some version of that makes everything possible in you.
Well, I mean, you have a character to your world.
Right.
People have to be able to put the book down and kind of imagine for themselves what the world's like when they're not reading it, what else is going on, and have some grounding that makes it so not everyone's necessarily imagining the same thing, but they're imagining the same type of thing.
Right. I always say, like, you want your world to be the kind where people can like go under the ropes and walk around. So many people, they're so shoddy on their world building that they basically have to keep people within the ropes, and there's no room for there's no room for them to roam around. There's no there's no way to build out the world other than this very narrow, like the story is the story and it ends at the story. And I see this a lot. But if you put in that extra work, you can have a world where your Santa Claus is a real individual, or you can have a world where he could dwell side by side with Krampus, or side by side with Zeus and which is a form of kind of like Zeus and Santa Claus are kind of like similar in a lot of ways. The whole all father, powerful figure, less libidinous, I think Santa Claus is. He's got like one chick. Zeus had like everybody. Anyway, so gotta make those demigods somehow. But the whole entire thing, I mean, you see a lot of good movies that are just made around this whole entire mythos of Santa Claus, and it's just like it's such a rich ground to of a character, such a rich world that you can like tap into, and plus you got anything you can plug into the lore of that people have grown up with has got to be beneficial to you, and anything you can attach to, like make things like accessible, from the outside. If somebody looks in, this is probably your main property, Unbreakable Argonauts. It's not as accessible as Santa Claus is because people have like a background of Santa Claus, but at the same time, that could be a hindrance because I think this is not Christmas yet. Why are we talking about Santa Claus, right? It's like it's narrow sliver of time where Santa Claus seems to be an appropriate topic.
Well, I mean, also the problem with this is the problem that I've experienced is when you do something that's very distinctly yours, you kind of have a monopoly on it, and so if people want that, they go to you.
Yeah.
If you're doing something that everyone knows, it's a lot harder to make the extra sell of like you should read my version of Santa Claus as opposed to everyone else's version of Santa Claus.
Right.
And so it is. That's actually part of the reason why I don't. You see like a lot of guys who are like, I'm just waiting for Batman to become public domain, or I'm just waiting for Superman to be. There's going to be such a rush of people all covering the same character at once that it's going to be so hard to...
Look at all the Winnie the Poohs out there right now.
It's just going to be so hard to sell the reason why your version specifically should be the one that people go to. And that's the challenge of covering an existing IP or an existing character.
And you have a really good hook. I've never seen anybody do a post-apocalyptic Santa Claus before.
I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I really think that should be your that's what you should push for. The world ended, but Santa Claus is still here. That's such an interesting premise, If the world ends, Santa Claus is still there. Is he still going to look for good little boys and girls? Definitely something. Just Steamboat Willie, Wookie, and they've already closed up that loop. And they're already closing that loop up. They used him recently in something just to close that back up. They didn't like people using Steamboat Willie. Disney.
They didn't like seeing it in. They didn't like seeing it in Savage Dragon.
No, they did not. They did not. No. But anyway, so yeah. So this book is currently on Indiegogo. Check it out. Post-apocalyptic Santa Claus. It's the Santa Nuclear Winter special. That title is maybe a little clunky. Maybe you should have workshopped a little bit more on that one. But anyway, it still looks like a really cool book.
Thanks.
I'm probably going to back it later on this week. I kind of tapped myself out over the weekend, so I'm definitely looking to back it. Is it coming to FMC?
So my kind of rule of thumb is every time I get something successfully funded on Indiegogo, it goes straight to an FMC storefront.
Oh, okay. Well, you can fund it initially on FMC, and then you don't have the shadow banning, and you don't have the people getting tips, $11 tips if they don't put it to zero, and you don't have all the shenanigans that IGG has. Just saying, initially campaigning on FMC might be a better move. So that's my pitch. Anyway, but think about it. All right. I mean, right now, Indiegogo is not showing you any love. So, who knows? This book looks good. It's a good premise, and I really want to see this book succeed. And it's one of the reasons why I have it on the show today. So, anyway, so check that out. Santa's Nuclear Winter Special. It's in the chat pinned. It's also in the description. Check it out today and back it. Make sure you back it. And also, while you're doing that, Unbreakable Argonauts, I got the links in the chat on FMC. It's in store. Make sure you pick that up. If you like Justice Society and that classic, Darwin Cook New Frontier kind of style, I highly suggest it. I enjoyed it tremendously. Going to back it next time it comes up. And so check it out. Look, it's back in his book. There you go. Anyway, but that's been Cooper for Telepathic Bunny Comics. So where can we find you, Mr. Ashley Wrights?
You can find me on Twitter at ashwriting97. You can, pretty much any social media platform. If you just type in Unbreakable Argonauts, you'll find me. There you go. That's a very distinctive name. Yep. So anyway, I'm here on Telepathic Bunny Comics. Let me play my trailer right quick. Always be promoting, right? So let me play mine right quick. This is community service. It's located on FMC right now. Scan the QR at the end. This is my comic.
Roar.
Colonel Ironsides here. 200 years I stood in the gap, fighting those who would harm my country. It was my honor, my sacred duty, so help me God. 9 times they took my life. 9 times I stood back up and made them pay. The freedom fighter and I could handle anything, but someone betrayed me. I was ambushed, made mortal, rendered powerless, and retired. They passed an amendment that made me a civilian before I left the hospital. For 50 years, I watched my country change. Watch this work while erasing me from history. The day I quit my job, I powered up and discovered they lied about that too. I'll remind them of freedom. I'll remind them of duty. I'll remind them of their oaths and who they serve. I'll remind them while I'm shoving it down their throats.
Just a reminder, Ironsides is not Santa Claus. Okay.
It's nice, Dirty Harry vibes.
Well, he's got a lot that they got a lot to pay for. Man was protected his country for over 200 years, and they basically wanted him sidelined, and they found a way to do it, and then buried him from history for 50 years on a desk job, and then he finds out they lied to him about everything. So, he's got a lot to make up for. So, anyway, they were rue the day. I'll just say that much. But that's a community service. It's in the links in the description below. Check that out. It's also on FMC Fun My Comic, the official website of this channel. Anyway, so that's been Coop for Telepathic Bunny Comics. Thank you for coming on, Mr. Ashley Wrights. Welcome to thank you coming down the rabbit hole with me.
Thanks for having me on.
No problem. We will see everybody else out there, the fluffiest chat and all of YouTube. We will see you next time. Next rabbit hole. Tomorrow I'm going to have a special show. It looks like right now a special show. We're talking about the hero epidemic, the lack of heroes in modern culture, with some guys who are putting together a book that they think is going to light a candle in the darkness when it comes to that. Got a few guys scheduled. I think 3 so far. We'll find out how many I can get in here, but it's going to be a special show tomorrow around 5:00. Actually, I think it's 5. It's 5. I think might be 6. Anyway, just keep your eye out. I'm going to have to make a thumbnail and everything here shortly. But this Thursday, I'm not going to be doing What's Next. I'm going to move that to Friday night. But this Thursday, I'm going to be on the Man Cave. Return to the Man Cave. First time me and Belmont will be on the show together for over a year. Who knows? Ex's relationships, you know how it is. But I'm going to have a good time with those guys. That's going to be Thursday night. And then Friday, we're going to do a special show with the guys over there at Broken Compass Comics, the children's book. It's Skunk Artworks is coloring it.
He's great.
He's amazing. He's amazing. But this book looks really good. James Rock wrote it. James is one of the best writers I've ever seen. And so it's going to be an incredible book. But it's going to bring a little bit of danger back to children's literature. We've knocked the edges off of children's literature. It's time to bring back a little bit of scary to the children's literature. Remember the great books when we were growing up and great movies and stuff like that? The Never-Ending Story had the Gomork and it had had Artax in the swamp. Look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about. Trust me, it left scars, but it prepared you for the world. It prepared you for the bigger world at large. It's not exactly kind to kids. Made you a little paranoid, which was a good thing, especially if you're Gen X. But, modern kids probably need to figure out that there are dangerous things in the world, because there are dangerous things in the world, no matter if you're trying to protect them or not. But that book is going to be, I'm going to do a What's Next, a special What's Next with those guys on Friday. That one I think is going to be a 4. But just keep an eye out on this channel. And then Cryptids and Conspiracies on Saturday night. It's a busy week. Sorry, it's a busy week. But we're going to do Are Vampires Real? Cruel Barab's idea, one of our panel members, and so that's coming up. Are vampires real? That we're going to look into the vampire lore. There's a lot of lore out there, so there must be something somewhere, right? Just saying. That's going to be a fun show. That's going to be Saturday night. Anyway, that's the week at the rabbit hole. So, guys, keep your eyes peeled. And if you haven't liked or subscribed to anything on the rabbit hole, make sure you do. I think it's a pretty decent channel. I think we got some good stuff. And make sure you check out Santa's Nuclear Winter Special and The Unbreakable Argonauts by Mr. Ashley Wrights over here. You can also find him on X under The Unbreakable Argonauts. So look him up, see what else he's doing. Anyway, that's been Coop for Telepathic Bunny Comics. We'll see you guys probably tomorrow night. We'll see. Anyway, but that's all we got for today. So have a good one. Bye, everybody.
Bye.